That layout is going to be
Greetings and salutations, sports fans. It's Todd Edwards coming to you live tonight with my broadcast partner, Dew Jones, with a special edition of Sports Shooting Stars, studio style, right?
Absolutely.
From the White Rose Community Television Station in downtown York. Glad to be part of it. We're not at a stadium or an arena, but we're bringing the game to you of sorts, at least a talk portion of a program tonight. And it's good to be back in the studio, Dew.
Absolutely. It's always good to be in the studio. Never know what's going to happen. I know a lot of times we can do like a tape recording, but I like the idea of going live. Anything can happen, and it calls for a fun time.
Yes, and for fans that are tuned in, 717-846-5067 is the number you need to know if you want to call in to the Sports Shooting Stars talk show tonight. And we have a bevy of topics. And, of course, we're sitting here, Dew, on the eve of the county championship. And what a big one. I mean, it will all commence tomorrow night, Friday night, with the boys' action tomorrow night, either at West York High School or Red Lion Area High School.
Yeah, it's going to be some good games. Like I said, the boys and the girls. The boys tomorrow, the girls on Saturday. Should be some really good games. Some high-quality teams from YAIAA that's going to be a part of that bracket and, that playoff atmosphere. And we should be at one or two of those games. And we're going to give away what game we're going to be at in a little bit. We want to keep you guys kind of just hanging out with us for a little bit.
Keep them coming back for more, right? I mean, for this hour program at least that we're going to be running here tonight, and we thank you for tuning in. I know where maybe you're finishing work and settling in at home, or maybe in transit listening and watching. Well, we welcome your calls. Again, the number you need to know, 717-846-5067 if you want to talk a little Sports Shooting Stars. Dude, we can jump right into it with the boys action tomorrow. Central York versus Susquehannock, a big matchup tomorrow at West York, and then, of course, really kicking things off at West York tomorrow, a rivalry of sorts being renewed between York Catholic and York High.
Yeah, I think that was a dormant rivalry that's hasn't had a flame to it in the last couple years. I say in the last 10 to 15 years, but it'd be nice to have that nostalgic feeling of York High versus Central York. York High versus York Catholic. Schools are pretty much right beside each other, right there in the middle of the city of York. Should be a nice matchup. We have a couple guys that that we're going to be talking about in a few minutes. That's on both teams that are not even players to watch, but they're in our power 25. Rank. We have a power 25 for the boys basketball this year, and it should be a really good matchup. But and even on the other side with Central York versus Susky, a lot of people, even myself, we kind of we didn't cover Susky as much last year. Josh Franklin, he's carrying the load, 18 points per game. Last year Jalen was there, his brother. They played alongside each other. They were must-see TV. I said last year that I believe Jalen Franklin had the best layup package, in the league. As far as him getting to the bucket, but we didn't feature Susky too much this year, and that's kind of that's our downfall. But we are keeping notice of what's going on down there. They did a great job this year. I believe their overall record was about 17-5 or 17-6.
Out of Division II.
Out of Division II, they did a great job, and they're going to be a team to watch. And like I said, Central has to know they got to come, with their A game. And this is one of those years, more than any year, in my opinion, the field is wide open. There's a lot of young teams, there's a lot of talent, but, anybody can win. You know what I'm saying? I think that's definitely what's going down.
And as a special invite to viewers that are tuned in that call into the program, give us your predictions in terms of who will win the boys' championship and the girls' championship, for that matter. We mentioned the girls get underway this coming Saturday, but first things first, the boys' action. We mentioned the games being played at West York, and then there's two over at the Red Lion Gym, which is a spacious gymnasium that'll be hosting two games. On the docket there, of course, we met Littlestown versus Eastern York.
Oh, yeah, that's a big matchup. Littlestown versus Eastern York. That's a matchup I know a lot of people are interested in seeing. The battle of the big men, as you can say. You have Jake Bosley, you have Christopher Meekin, you have Austin Bowsman, you have Carter Wamsley. You have a lot of talent and good coaches on both sides. So that's a high-quality matchup that, I have I don't know if I have a prediction for that game. That's one, because Eastern is always solid. Towards the end of the year, they start to slide a little bit. Had a couple bumps in the road, but they're built for the postseason, so they're used to being in a situation where they can battle back. So seeing how Eastern battles, and Littlestown's always looking for their respect. That's one thing I hear about Littlestown more than anything. They want their respect because they don't get coverage as much. Even though we did cover them this year, but just as a whole, YDR, other places and other publications. they feel like they don't get that type of respect. So I think that, you know, on a bigger stage, they can show what they got.
They're going to do it. It's going to start tomorrow night. Of course, the other game at Red Lion of note, West York, the defending York County champs, taking on Dallastown.
Right.
Interesting matchup there. We'll see. I guess you're the champion until someone can knock you off in the case of the West York Bulldogs. And that's another team you can't sleep on. I mean, this field, as you mentioned, wide open with these top 8 teams.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that matchup there is a wild card. That's really like a wild card game because, you know, West York is very stout. Like I said, you know, I know coming in, I think we had them at the power rankings. I think at 4 coming in, or 3 coming in, but you know, West York is a team that, you know, they're the reigning champs. They're the division, you know, YIAA champs last year, and they lost a little bit last year with some of their big men that's no longer there. The point guard Walker and, you know, Powell and the rest of the guys. But, you know, they're coming back. They have David McGladrey.
McGladrey's
one of those guys that, you know, in my opinion, David McGladrey's, you know, most improved player. You know what I'm saying? As far as me watching him, and that's not saying, that's no knock that he wasn't doing well, you know, the years prior, but this year I can see just a different level as far as him getting to the bucket, quick first step. You know what I mean? He doesn't really look a basketball player, but man, like he has a game and he can knock down the shot. So
he's a hustler as the big man there for West York. Javon DeShields as well, another player to keep an eye on. And Dallastown, you and I had the chance to see Dallastown play York High this week.
Yeah. And
it seemed like they kept some of their players from playing Tuesday.
Right.
And maybe they're holding their cards, waiting for tomorrow night, Friday night's game against West York.
Looks like Coach Grasso wanted to keep his guys fresh. You know what I mean? He was playing a passive game, in my opinion. I think they want to fill him out the first half, see what was going on. York High is going to go, you know, balls to the wall, as they say. They're going to go, you know, they're going to press, they're going to do their thing. So, you know, every game they're going to take serious because, you know, they have a lot of passion with it. And so does Dallastown, but I think that Coach had a bigger strategy. You know, what he wanted to do as far as rest some of his guys, be more prepared for the long run. And I believe Dallastown's in districts as well. So, you know, they got a chance to run through counties and upset some people. Susky and Dallastown are teams that, you know, the dark horses that can upset some people in the county playoffs.
Yeah, and it will all get underway tomorrow. We'll be dropping our game, what we're going to be announcing within this hour. And then, of course, for fans that want to come out, all tickets are $6. And from what I'm being told, they'll be sold at the door. Only sold at the door. And I would imagine you may want to get there early, particularly at West York. The York Catholic faithful, the York High faithful, then followed up with the Central fan base.
Right.
It's going to be a packed house. As I oftentimes like to say, maybe a standing room only crowd at
Absolutely.
West York and Red Lion as well. I think you're going to have big crowds at both venues.
Well, even what you said with Central, York High, York Catholic, you know, those schools are so close in proximity of each other that, you know, they had the same fan base. They may not act like they don't like each other, you know, some of the fan base, but they have the same fan base. They know the same people. So, like you said, if you're not there early to get a ticket, you're not connected or however you want to call it, you're going to stand in line and wait, you know, to go in. But it should be a good feature. Like I said, you got to give a lot of credit to the student athletes. That's the reason why we're out here. You know, we're promoting them and, you know, as far as endorsing and just trying to, you know, give them a bigger platform because, you know, they do a great job. I think they deserve it. And, you know, it's definitely needed. It's a niche in York that, you know, we happy to, you know, fill. So
yeah, we're filling the void that was really what prior to 7 years ago was not there. I mean, years ago, some fans that maybe tuned into today's program may remember cable TV of York and the services they offered with announcer Kevin Drawball. But we're trying to replicate that now in year 2023 with Sports Shooting Stars. And we talked about the boys' action. Well, this coming Saturday, the girls take center stage, and we got some big matchups on the girls' side.
Yeah, absolutely. We got the girls section over here.
Yeah, let's kick it off. I mean, Central York, who we had a chance to see this year, taking on York Suburban.
Yeah, and Central York, is, you know, is the powerhouse right now this year, having a great record. I mean, they have a great record so far this year, really dominating. You know, but you can't sleep on York Suburban. York Suburban just played Greencastle last night and almost upset that, you know, and that's a powerhouse team as well. So York Suburban's a small school, but they're also, you know, they know how to play basketball.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Jess Weaver will have them ready to play against Central York. Central York coming in with a 19-2 record, just 2 losses for Central York. Here's another game of note: DeLone Catholic, the Squirettes, 21-1, taking on Eastern York.
And we had an opportunity to film DeLone early this year when they went against New Oxford. If fans that's watching tonight, go to Sports Shooting Stars on YouTube, White Rose Community Television. It's all pretty much under the same umbrella. And you know, if you want to watch DeLone Catholic, get some feedback on them, they're a well-oiled machine. They know how to run, and you know, those Adams County girls, they're good basketball players, and they do well in the counties and also in the districts.
Yeah, that's another team to keep an eye on. Only one loss, I believe they lost their opening match this year to Plymouth Meeting, which is a team near Philadelphia, and then since
haven't
then
looked back.
they have not looked. Yeah, they've been on a roll. And DeLone Catholic Squirettes, maybe a team to watch on that girls bracket in terms of maybe potentially being a county champ. But let's not forget Central York as well.
Well, not to cut you off, Todd, but just looking at the screen there now, at the people that's tuning in, this is our new updated version of the power rankings for the girls. As you can see, Central York started off at number 1. In our December power rankings, you see this, Central York, Bermudian Springs at number 2, DeLone Catholic at number 3, Dallastown at number 4, York Suburban at number 5, and you have honorable mention with York High and West York. And you know, when we did this is our updated power rankings for the girls this year. I know some fans are waiting on to see this as well for our liking, but Central still remains at number 1. DeLone Catholic, of course, jumped up to number 2 from the 3 position, and you can see Northeastern snuck in there at a 17-5 record. They're at number 3 right now, and also Redline at number 4, and Eastern York at number 5, and with the honorable mention still going to York High and West York as far as them playing really tough this year and being one of them top teams.
And interesting to see Dallastown fall out of that from the early season to now, and they're back in it under Coach Jay Rexroth.
Right.
No stranger to being county champs, the girls basketball for Dallastown.
Back-to-back champs, and they got someone else we're going to speak about in a little bit as well, Praise Matthews. That Matthews family, they came out of that Dallastown
Anaya
area.
Matthews, if you remember, yes.
Went Division I, and like I said, still doing her thing as far as basketball, and yeah, they got a lot to look forward to. Like I said, Rexroth knows exactly what he's doing with his girls, and they're always built to go for that long run.
They could be another team, as you mentioned earlier, about being a dark horse on the girls bracket. Dallastown, and I think York Suburban could be that team as well. Mentioning the first 2 games, Central York and York Suburban, and DeLone Catholic and Eastern York. Both of those games this Saturday will be played at Red Lion, just to let everyone know. And the tip-off for those games, the first game will be at 6 o'clock, followed by the second game approximately around 7:30.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the other 2 games for the girls, some big ones. We mentioned Dallastown Wildcats versus York Catholic.
Yep. York Catholic, like I said, another good team. They have Mariah Shue over at York Catholic, really stout, really good point guard, selfless player. Like I said, York Catholic, another program that breeds good basketball players and with a good education as well. So they're high IQ players, and that's the reason why you see York Catholic, even though they're only in a 2A division, you always see York Catholic, in the districts or playing for that county title.
Year in and year out, and Coach Kevin Bankos, he's been coaching there a few years for York Catholic. Some other players to keep an eye on for York Catholic, Meredith Smith and Paige O'Brien and they'll be battling Dallastown again this coming weekend, and that game will be at West York.
Yeah. Absolutely.
West York. And the other big game that night will feature the Northeastern Bobcats versus the Lions of Red Lion.
Yeah, Northeastern Bobcats, that's a good team. We have a couple of their girls on our power list as far as top 20 that you will be talking about today later on in the evening. But, Northeastern is another team, led by, a good core group, young sophomores pretty much. And they're ready to go.
Well, first-year coach Maurice Coleman, his daughter Michaela Coleman, and Aaliyah Stokes play for the Bobcats of Northeastern, a team to keep an eye on in this bracket. Again, those games will be played at West York Saturday, so a lot of basketball taking place. We know with college basketball, March Madness, maybe it's a February frenzy here with high school basketball.
It's going to get crazy.
On the brink of talking and really getting underway with the county championships here, and then next week culminating with the county championships. Those games, along with the semifinals, will be played at York Tech Fieldhouse.
Oh, and as you guys know, York Tech Fieldhouse is state-of-the-art, bar none, one of the best facilities you can play basketball in. And real quick, Todd, I just also want to mention about Northeastern. They also have 2 sophomores, Lorelei Kennedy and Nyla Davis. I'm sorry. 2 sophomores that really pack a 1-2 punch, and like I said, Northeastern's look like they got a bright future ahead of them.
Well, Northeastern comes into the tournament with a 17-5 record. Red Lion 16-6. interesting to see how things take place and how the games unfold this Saturday as Sports Shooting Stars. Again, we're going to mention our games that we'll be broadcasting. We'll drop that here within the hour. Looking forward to that as the hour progresses here with Sports Shooting Stars.
Absolutely. And what's some games this year, Todd? Like I said, just looking through our games, we went through our whole season so far. Had a really good season so far, the regular season. What games kind of stick out to you?
Well, most recently, if you remember, we traveled to Cumberland Valley in Central York, a big matchup up there at the Dome. And, of course, Cumberland Valley walked away with a 3-point win. That was an exciting game. And what about Red Lion and Chester? York High in Chester. I stand corrected.
Yep.
In at the Bear Den in downtown York. That was another big one. York High ran away with that matchup.
Yeah, and like I said, I remember the Dallastown, one of our first games of the year, Dallastown versus Central York, when they went to triple overtime. And, that was a hectic and, exciting game for us.
Fever pitch at Dallastown, if I remember the crowd. At one point, the stands were shaking as the cameras sat there. And
it was a lot
an
going
exciting
on.
Night. Oh, yeah, no doubt. And then, of course, we saw Executive Education for the second year in a row.
Yep.
They came into York Catholic and prevailed over York Catholic.
Yeah, they came in York Catholic, and they were guns a-blazing. They came in it was a business trip for them. The guys came from 3 hours away, which is Allentown, about 2.5 hours. Yep. And they came in on a business trip and got up out of there, and they did a great job. Always like filming Executive Education, have a good rapport with them. So, shout out to them. They're a charter school located outside or in Allentown. They have a beautiful facility too.
Yeah,
so, check that out.
A college campus, and they have a player going to D1 to Rider University, Mustafa Sano, who is a 6'10", and his brother plays for that team as well.
Wow, yeah, it's a family affair when it comes up there, charter.
A lot of their players end up going to one of the Division I programs, typically Executive Education. That was another broadcast, and then we had a couple girls games as well.
Absolutely, yeah. They got a good connection from the high school level up to the college and furthering your education. That's what it's all about. But we also want to talk about some of the top players with the girls in the league. Pretty much, we have that written down as well.
Well, we do. I mean, Central York. We talked about them earlier. Mackenzie Wright-Rawls, a Division I basketball player. How about Bella Chiamente? 1,000-point score for Central York. Two players you want to keep an eye on this coming weekend that can make some noise for the Central York Panthers. I had Dallastown as well, some players. You mentioned Praise Matthews, the younger sister of Anaya Matthews. Also, Haley Jameson and Maggie Groh for Dallastown Wildcats.
Yep.
And then I'm going to go right down the list, dude.
Go ahead,
I have some
go
of them
ahead,
here. Yeah, Red Line, coached by head coach Don Dimoff. Brooke Axe and Tatiana Verata, two players to keep an eye on for the Lions this coming weekend. Eastern York, coached by their head coach Justin Seitz, Ariana Seitz, and Kendall Felix.
Yeah, absolutely.
To keep an eye on.
And if you don't mind, I'm going to jump to Cliff real quick, our producer. He can put up our Sports Shooting Stars Girls All-County First Team Honors.
We can talk a little bit about.
And we'll just go.
There it is.
We'll talk a little bit there, and as you guys can see, that'll be posted later on our social media sites and things of that nature. You can check that out. As you can see, we start off, and this is in no particular order, but this is some of the, our first team honors that we have this year for the girl on the girls side. And of course, we're going to start off with Mackenzie Wright-Rawls from Central York. Had a great season so far. Committed to New Jersey.
D1 school. Yes.
Yeah, technical school in New Jersey. I'm sorry if it's not on tip of my tongue exactly what it is. But like I said, she committed as well. And that's Brielle Bogman, I believe. Got to put the name. Is the name up there?
Yes, Brielle Bachman.
Okay, yep. Brielle Bachman. Another good player, like I said, out of the Adams County area. As you can see, I'll let you go through a couple of those as well.
We mentioned Bella Chimente from Central York, 1,000-point score for the Central Panthers. Also, you mentioned Praise Matthews earlier from Dallastown. Eastern York's Ariana Seitz.
And speaking of Ariana had a game this year of 46 points. She just kind of went off. And in some of our stats we're looking up, she's in almost every stat, for girls basketball. Ariana and Leah Kale, those from Spring Grove.
Spring Grove.
Those two are in almost every stat that we looked up. But you can go ahead and continue.
Well, we can. Yeah, I want to make mention. Circle back on Mackenzie Wright Rawls is committed to New Jersey Institute of Technology. Division I basketball program. Rylan Rouse from York County Tech, 1,000-point scorer, well over 1,000 points, I think nearly 1,500 points. And then just recently, she got 1,000 rebounds.
Wow.
I mean, it's an impressive
That's
stat.
incredible. I mean, what she's doing over at York Tech, and I want to tell the kids, man, don't go there for education. They have a lot of trades, but that school, the facility is starting to really be, state of the art. And she's a trailblazer. She's one of those, student athletes that's out there, really creating a lot of noise for herself. And she has an article in the newspaper as well. You guys can look that up on YDR.
I think you shared that on
I
your
did share that
Facebook,
as well.
yes.
Yep, absolutely.
Column. And of course, moving down the list here, Grace Masser from Redline. We mentioned that's another player to keep an eye on this weekend. From York High, the Bearcats, Sierra Gibbs, York High Bearcat.
And just to add on about Grace Macer, she's also leading the league in three-pointers at 49 threes so far on the year. So she's put them up at a high clip.
Raining threes for one Grace Masser from Red Lion. Faith Walker from West York, Bulldog. You mentioned Leah Kale from Spring Grove. Also from York Catholic, Mariah Shue.
And just to add on as well, for Sierra Gibbs for York High, she's averaging 14.4 points this year. So she's having a great season as well.
I believe she's just a junior.
Just
correct?
a junior,
Yeah,
so she'll be back.
We'll be calling her name probably a little more often next year, and hopefully we'll pick up maybe an additional game or two on the girls' side.
Absolutely. Well, she's in the top 5 for scoring, and for the girls. So she's right there at the top behind Rylan and Leah and Ariana.
And also her teammate from York High, Zykira McGee, another player. Keep an eye out for York High.
And these are some of the girls that made our all-county second team honors that we want to put up.
And no particular order.
No
correct?
particular order.
Yeah,
No particular order at all. There's some really good basketball players that we like to show some attention to and get some acknowledgement. Of course, some good players.
Janae Rissmiller from York Suburban. I believe her brother plays for the boys team.
Yes, only a freshman. Her brother, CJ Rissmiller, but Janae's a sophomore. Like I said, had that big game last night. They're playing in the counties, coming up. So keep an eye on Janae.
Also, how about Paige O'Brien from York Catholic? I mentioned her as a player to keep an eye on for York Catholic, who will be battling it out against Dallastown.
Super consistent. One of those, Paige is somebody you can really lean on. She's a team leader, so keep an eye on Paige as they go through the counties.
Also, how about L'Oreal Kennedy from Northeastern, the Bobcat?
Yep, Lorelai Kennedy. Actually a relation of mine. Like I said, her mom. Her dad is my uncle. Her granddad's my uncle, but her mom are cousins. But the Lorelai's, have 35 threes this year so far on the season. Only a sophomore, doing a lot of great things.
Also from Dover. We haven't called Dover's name too often, but a player to keep an eye on. Mackenzie Gamber makes his second team.
Yep, Mackenzie's another really good basketball player from Dover, really putting that team on her back. She's one of the leading the league in points as well. So, she's doing a great job.
For the Dover Eagles. Briley Rogers from Biglerville out of Division III YAIAA.
1,000-point scorer. Like I said, putting up a lot of points.
And another team that you tend not to really follow too closely here in YIAA, but they're part of the Division III.
Absolutely.
Field. Ella Billman from New Oxford.
Yeah.
Had a chance to call her name during one of our broadcasts earlier this year.
Absolutely. Ella actually also has a brother, Braden Billman, that plays on the varsity team for New Oxford. So big shout out to that brother and sister team.
And another York High Bearcat, Jada Price, makes the second team. We mentioned earlier from Red Lion, Tatiana Verata on the second team honors, along with York Suburban's Alyssa Doherty, and another West York Bulldog, Regan Dahl.
Oh yeah, she's on a lot of the stats as well. When we were doing some research as far as points and 3-pointers and getting to the free throw line, she's doing a really good job. I believe that Scott Dahl's daughter. Scott Dahl was also one of the York High greats as far as playing in the 90s and putting up a lot of points.
He's on that banner inside the gym, I believe.
Yes, he is.
Point score. How about Michaela Coleman? I mentioned that her name earlier with Northeastern Bobcats, and closing out. Brianna Valentine
Yeah, Brianna Valentine for Fairville.
Fairville.
She's putting up a lot of points as well. She's like second in scoring in her division.
And they're out of Division III as well in YIAA.
And also can't forget Red Lions.
Kamari Gordon Bay. And also Nyla Davis from Northeastern.
That part of that sophomore combination with Lorelai Kennedy and the rest of the crew.
And Central York's Jasmine Parker. Along with Shyla Smith from York High.
Yeah, and like I said, you'll see all these, all the flyers and things like that we have.
You'll be
we'll be posting and things like that, so they'll see it online. But they're the top players that we recognize so far this year. For the girls basketball team, the first and the second team. I think we listed about 25 girls, so they did a great job this year. And like I said, we are recognizing girls and boys, but they're doing a great job. And we're really looking forward to filming one of the county games with the girls in it.
We had a county game coming up this weekend, both boys and girls, and Sports Shooting Stars. We plan to be part of it too, and of course our sponsors. We probably should give a bit of a shout out to our sponsors, our season-long sponsors.
Yeah, absolutely.
All year long that have supported Sports Shooting Stars in this basketball season, 2022-2023 season.
And you already know Thornton Automotive of Dover, Fairview Early Learning Center, and Community Center, S3 Performance Training, Bezo Insurance, the Basketball Warehouse, PA Legends, Parma's Pizza of Dallastown, and there was other sponsors as well as far as Inch & Co. Sports.
Blacktop Bash, they chimed in a little bit. Charlie's Angels as well.
Blacktop Bash, Charlie's Angels, a few different ones. Complete Restoration.
Complete Restoration.
With our guy Mark Collins. So shout out to Mark. I know you may be watching from someplace, but shout out to him as well. Yeah, all our sponsors, like I said, even moving forward, we have a new sponsor for our county game that we're going to be doing, the county playoff game,
and sponsorships are available. We want to remind the viewers
Yes.
that are tuned in tonight, if you're interested in sponsoring particularly a playoff game, now's the time to do it, because I was telling some fans earlier this week, and there it is, there's the ad for it. There's now broadcasting fees associated with counties, districts, and state games, unlike our regular season portion of our schedule where there are no broadcasting fees. So that comes into effect a little bit in terms of what game or games we broadcast during the course of the playoff run. But there you go. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor, you can email us, sportsshootingstars@gmail.com, for more information. Various packages as well for sponsoring a game or games. Because, of course, next week the semifinals will take place, and then ultimately the county championships, as I mentioned earlier in our broadcast, all taking place from the York Tech Fieldhouse here, really in York Township, a long throw away from here, the studio, from White Rose Community Studios here in downtown York.
Yeah, it should be really good. I can't wait. Like I said, I can't wait. To get to these games and get into that atmosphere. It gets loud. Like I said, it's a perfect opportunity for us to showcase what we do, and for the kids to go out there and just have their athleticism on display. So it's always a good time. And like I said, this year, if you're a fan of sports, you want to be at one of these county playoff games.
Oh, county playoff games. These are where legends and stars are made, right? Oftentimes,
Absolutely.
whether it's at the NBA level, college level, or here at the high school level, you'll get that opportunity to see. I believe a lot of good games taking place this weekend over the course of Friday and Saturday, whether it's in the boys bracket or the girls bracket. And we could talk to you as well. The phone lines are open. Give us a call tonight and then talk about maybe your predictions on who will be the county champ in the boys bracket and the girls bracket.
Absolutely.
We start with 8. We finish ultimately with one winner, one champion from each bracket.
And then most of the teams, if I'm not mistaken, all go to districts. So once they're done with the county championships, still follow the teams, because they'll be going to districts to, still rep York County, York and Adams County. So, continue to follow and support these teams as they pursue their goals.
Oh, yeah, and there'll be followings from various teams. On the top of my head, Central will be there, York High as well. On the girls bracket, Central York, DeLone Catholic, and other teams will make a push and hopefully ultimately maybe be playing at the sweetest place on earth, at the Giant Center.
Yeah, keep an eye on Littlestown and Eastern. They're teams, like I said, that can sneak out there and do some big things. But anybody that made the bracket can, on any given Friday, they can make something happen.
And fans that may be tuned in wondering, it's single elimination here in the county championships. You lose, you go home, and then you prep for your district run. And so it's interesting to see how things will unfold starting tomorrow night at West York and Redline. First game will tip off at 6 p.m., followed by the second game at approximately 7:30 p.m. But you can give us a call now at 717-846-5067 if you'd like to be part of the Sports Shooting Stars call-in show with co-host tonight, Dew Jones.
Yep.
And Todd Edwards here in studio. Our producer, Cliff Kern, off camera, making sure everything's afloat here. And so far, the first half an hour into the program, we're maintaining here tonight.
No doubt. Doing really good. Let's switch gears. Let's go ahead and get to the boys section. I know a lot of people was waiting on the boys section as well, so we'll switch gears around the 30-minute mark and go to the boys section. We're going to highlight the top 25 YIAA basketball players that we noticed this year in our countdown. So we'll start off with number 25 that you can see from here. And that will be our guy, Coy Swanson from Kennerdale. Coy Swanson made the top 25. He was in one of our players to watch list coming into the preseason. He didn't really drop out or anything like that. You know, he's still, you know, we expanded it five more players. He's still in our top 25. He averaged 11.8 points this year. Solid player, defensive-minded type of guy. You know, he's a reliable scorer, and he does what, you know, Kennerdale needs him to do. So as you can see on the screen there, you know, that's Coy.
Right above my shoulder there, dude.
Yeah, there it is.
Yes.
Yeah, there it is. So, you know, Coy did a great job. He's also a baseball player. He's going Division I for baseball. So a lot of these guys that, you know, play multiple sports, man, you know, shout out to you, man, because it's like, it's only so many hours in the day. You got to go to school. You got to listen to mom and dad, you know.
And then the practice time. And then you wonder sometimes, too, over the course of one's career, you know, if your body doesn't break down, because you never really have an off season, especially if whether you're playing club all year round or going from sport to sport from season to season.
Yeah, and these guys are thugging it out, man. They're doing a good job. They're thugging it out. And like I said, this list will be posted after the show. This is a live show. It's not a tape recording. So after the show, we'll go ahead and put the post out so you can look at it, you know, just talk amongst yourselves about it and stuff like that. So
it's open for great debate. That's the great thing about sports. And you may agree or disagree with our number. And that's what makes this all fun and enjoyable.
But again, Coy averaged about 12 points this year, senior year, going to college for baseball. Great job, Coy. Shout out to you for everything you've been doing this year. You know, we want to recognize you. You come in at number 25 on our list. Our full list will be listed later on tonight, but you come on 25 on our list. Now, coming up next is a guy from Dallastown, Connor Bartow. Connor Bartow, you know, came in averaging 10.7 points this year. Big man who can knock down threes, good rebounder, team type of guy, team player.
And you mentioned about a baseball player that's committed to Shippensburg University
as
well. So, and we did not see him play this past Tuesday at Dallastown against York High, but I have a feeling we'll be seeing him tomorrow play against West York. All hands will be on deck for Dallastown tomorrow as they take on the defending county champions, West York Bulldogs at Redline.
Yeah, that should be a good game. Like I said, we're waiting for it. We're going to see Connor pop up there real fast, and then
our producer's saying he may not have a photo of one Connor Bartow.
Looks like number 24.
Well,
our next
player. Let's just go. We'll get back there. We'll just go right to D. We'll go.
Braden Detz.
Braden Detz. Yep.
Yes.
We'll go right to Braden Detz.
A West York Bulldog.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got him at 24. Then, like I said, we'll go right into Braden Detz at 24, averaging 10.3 points per game this year. Kind of your do-it-all player, good rebounder, hustler. You know, for the team, does what's needed for Coach Bull. You know, he's been part of that county championship game, team of last year. You know, Detz is a solid player. Comes in at number 24 on our list. Braden Detz.
West York Bulldog.
Hey, good luck as well to West York. Got a lot of love for West York. Like I said, that's a good program.
I think we broadcasted 3 games this year with the West York Bulldogs, and of course they'll be playing Dallastown at Red Lion tomorrow night. Our next player, Camden Zeller.
I'm sorry, that's Camden Keller. We put the K there. That's Keller.
We stand corrected.
It's K, yeah. Camden Keller, DeLone Catholic, averaging 13.9.
Squire.
13.9 points this year. Slasher, physical guard, good passer. You know, keeps his head down, goes really hard in the paint. As you can say, he likes to get a lot of layups, and he doesn't mind contact. Big shout out to Cam. He's doing a great job.
And how about Southwestern Zone Seth Sager?
Seth Sager averaging 10.5 points this year. The senior, good point guard, high flyer, can score. Can score when needed. He's a game manager pretty much for his team. Southwestern didn't have the year they wanted per se this year, but
and we made the trek to Southwestern this year as Redline defeated the Mustangs there at the Corral.
Yep, and
Southwestern.
I think one of their big wins this year was against Spring Grove. I think they had a big win against Spring Grove.
That's always a rivalry game
Yeah.
up there that way, Spring Grove and Southwestern.
built up the morale and things like that for that team because they were sliding for a while. They're Southwestern, but big shout out to their coach and
Chris
also
Sager.
Chris Sager, always
Yes.
willing to look out for us and been a part of a lot of things we've been doing so far this year down at the Gift Horse and things of that nature. Good luck to Seth as well. He's a senior. He'll be going to college, playing basketball somewhere, playing some type of sport or just furthering his education. So, big shout out to Seth as he came in number 21 on our list. And number 20, let you take it, Todd.
Brendan Holmes.
Brendan Holmes out of New Oxford.
Rockford. Colonial. Called his name a few times this year.
Sorry, we're going to go to 21. See, my paper's a little different than what's on here, so I don't know. Something might be going wrong. This is
Little
a live
typo
show.
here, dude,
Might be a
huh?
typo going on somewhere, you know what I'm saying? But, 21, we're going to say Brendan Holmes, of course. 12.4 points this year. Scores fast, quick, high flyer. We did a couple of their games this year. Yeah, one game he had 3 dunks.
Yes.
Kind of went crazy. Just did his thing with 3 dunks. Plays alongside of his brother as well, Brody Holmes.
A player of the game.
One of our players, 2 times player of the game.
Yes.
So he's one of those. I gotta give him that shirt too. I know Brody's waiting on his second
He's
shirt.
waiting anxiously by the
got
mailbox
you.
to be sent.
We got you. But again, Brendan, high flyer, gets really high elevation on his shot, can score a lot of points. He's going to be playing AAU this year as well. So, check him out this year. He has one more year to play, varsity sports. So he plays football as well. So he's a guy you want to keep an eye on, as well as his brother, the Holmes brothers. They're, there's
A
something.
1-2 punch for the Colonials. in New
Absolutely.
Oxford.
Absolutely. Everyone to go ahead and go to number 20.
Chase Closter,
Chase
Northeastern
Closter.
Bobcat.
Chase Costa, one of the top big men in the county, hustler, good rebounder, good scorer. Does a lot for the team. Northeastern, they're always in the thick of things. They're coached by a really good coach as well. They're always in the thick of things. Didn't have the year they wanted this year as far as with the wins, but as far as grit, being a big man, being flexible, can kind of stretch the floor a little bit. I think Chase did a really good job this year, of anchoring and being like the most consistent player for Northeastern.
Yeah, I'm sure Coach John Eister will have them back into the mix a little bit in D1, a little bit of a down year. Unusual to see that from the Bobcats, just a few years removed, remember, from the era of Antonio Rizzuto.
Yeah.
And one Fred Balba Jr.
And that's a big shadow to come out of for
Oh, yeah.
anybody. So, that, like I said, but, Northeastern always has, good players, and he's one of them. Like I said, he's going to be a guy they're going to recognize and remember for a long time as far as, giving his all to his team.
Next up, we have number 19, Jake Bosley.
Jake
From
Bosley.
Littlestown. Averaging 14.4 points a game.
Yeah, Jake, you can see the picture. He's aggressive. He's a good rebounder. He's dominant in the paint. He's a guy that plays. He's a passionate player. From the games that we saw him play, he was on our to watch list coming into
the 2022 season. Yep.
to the season in December. So he's still on the list. Did a great job. Littlestown is still in it. Like I said, hopefully this gives anybody that made the list or didn't make the list, that gives them a little bit more fuel for the fire to kind of go out there and do their thing. Play team basketball though. Don't just go out there and try to ball out by yourself. But he's one of them guys you're going to see this weekend. And like I said, he's a passionate player, as you can see.
Next up, going with number 18, Ethan Glass.
Ethan Glass, Spring Grove.
Spring Grove, which we featured later in our season at York Tech with a big win. Ethan Glass poured it on that night. I think part of scoring 47 points with his teammate, remember?
Yeah.
Ethan Myers.
Yeah, he can put up some
night.
big-time points. Absolutely. Ethan Glass, he led the league this year with 71 threes. I mean, anytime he got the ball, you know what I'm saying? He has a really quick release, but anytime he got the ball, man, he just has a clean stroke. He gets elevation on his shot. 71 threes on a year, best three-point shooter in the league, pure shot, good footwork, because, to be able to shoot like that, you got to have footwork. So, kids, you want you want to shoot in people's faces, you got to work on the footwork. And Ethan Glass is one of the guys you want to take note to. He kind of reminds me a little bit as far as the way he gets the ball up. Karan Mallory last year, I think Karan had 73. I think at the end of the year,
70-some range, yeah, with threes.
And then you have Ethan at 71. And Spring Grove didn't have the year that they wanted either, and he still put up a lot of points at a high clip. And he has another year to go. So looks like we have a phone call.
Let's go to it. Hello, Sports Shooting Stars.
Bearcat fan here.
Oh, we have the #1 York High Bearcat fan. I think I know who this is. Welcome. Are you excited about this big game coming up?
Oh, yeah, York High should make a deep run in the York County playoffs. They'll probably go down Central York and York High for the third time.
Wow. And your thoughts, if they play a third time, your thoughts, we know what's happened in the first two games, 2 overtime thrillers, Ed. Your predictions if they play in that third game?
I think York might barely get by Central for the county championship, but I'm not going to go all out on the limb and say that York's going to win it, but I think York can take this game if they play Central for the third time. I think York can get them this time.
Awesome. Well, York High, they're going to open things up against York Catholic, and I know you're no stranger to that rivalry. What's that rivalry mean to you, Ed, York Catholic and York High? Any memories from that series?
Oh, yes. I remember when York High and York Catholic used to battle it out for the city. I remember the good teams that Mike Kesey had with York Catholic all them years, great years, that Mike Kesey had with York Catholic that took them to the state title games and everything. But we also had a good, outstanding coach at the time, too. And I think it's going to be a heck of a game between York High and York Catholic. We ain't played them in many years. But now I want to switch my gear to the district playoffs. We have, right now in the top 12, we currently have 3 York County teams that can battle for the district title. We got York at number 5, Central York at 6, and Dallas Town at 11.
Wow, I like this guy. He did his homework.
No
Ed has
doubt.
done
He
his
was ready.
homework
He
here.
was ready.
And in district play, the #1 seeds, Reading, followed by Cumberland Valley. Ed, how do you feel things would shake out in the district run for the 3 local teams that would be remaining in that tournament, the top 12 teams?
I think Central and York High can make a deep run in the tournament. I've seen Central York play Cumberland Valley. That was a horrible loss for them. I watched it on YouTube. The officials wasn't the greatest for Central York, and I didn't like that idea how they were calling all them fouls on Central. But it wasn't on a neutral court. It was on Cumberland Valley's court. But I see it as this. York High has a deep team. York High can play if they stick together as a team and not make a lot of fouls. York High, I think, can beat the #1 seed as of right now, Reading. I think York can beat them if they play their 8 games.
I like that. I like that energy.
I like your enthusiasm, energy, Ed, and what a matchup that would be. Reading, York High, 2 well-coached teams. Go ahead.
Well, Ed, you hit it on the nose, man, because I saw Reading early in the season, and their backcourt is is like that. And I think York High backcourt is like that. So if they're running on all cylinders, I agree with you. They can rumble with any team, and they can definitely they can match guard for guard with Reading. I definitely believe that one. I believe that one.
That would be a main event matchup worth broadcasting and seeing.
That's a nice prediction.
You and Do think, Todd, and you and Do thinks about this, but I think York High can make a lot of noise in the state playoffs coming up too. York High can make a deep run in the state playoffs also.
Yeah. And I think, again, the reason why York High is gelling so well at this time, you got a great coach with Coach Clovis Gallen, but also, Mario Newsom. You know what I'm saying? He's the X factor. And if they can get him around 8 to 12, 14 points a game, that's a win. That's a win for him, and that's also a win for the team because, he's the cleanup man. But lately he's been getting more involved in the offense, and that's a smart play. He's 6'7" for a reason, and they get him involved. And if you can get Amari if you get Omarion 8 to 14 points a game, you can almost guarantee that, your Kai's probably going to win.
Well, and I know Ed saw the game this week with Dallastown and Jazeer Vega, 18 points, and you throw in Joels Tucker, Davion Leonard, and you got quite the punch there, and a lot of guys that can score, and David Ward, not to mention David Ward.
Ward, 27 threes on the season, and he's not even a three-point shooter. So
And you may get that merchandise, that state championship merchandise. That may be the next merchandise round you sell with York High. You may get your wish here.
What was I going to say to you also? Dallastown didn't play a very good game on Tuesday night with York High, but they got one of the best top coaches in York Colony. I'm not taking nothing away from Clovis, but I like Coach Mike Castle. He is a very nice coach. He's very disciplined. He teaches them boys how to play and everything. I have to give my hats off to him, too. He's a fantastic coach. That's one of my other favorite coaches besides Clovis in York County.
Likewise. I think Mike's a great guy. Absolutely.
It's been very accommodating with Sports Shooting Stars. Hey, Ed, before we let you go, your predictions on maybe who would win the girls' bracket. I think I know who you feel will win the boys' bracket, but you're on the girls' side. Your prediction on winning the county championship on the girls' side?
I think Central York's going to take it on the girls' side. They got that tall girl, I forget what her name is.
Mackenzie.
She's one of the best players in York County. I think Central's going to take the crown in York County for the girls.
Good stuff, Ed. Well, I tell you what, we appreciate you calling in and have a feeling we'll probably be seeing one another this weekend as the county playoffs get underway here in York.
And I'm not shy to you and do. I always say hi to you.
You always say hi, loud and proud, Ed.
Yep, thank you.
We appreciate your support.
Okay, have a good night, gentlemen.
Have a good night, Ed. Take care.
Thank you. And I'm getting a couple of phone calls, and they may say the number you want to call is 717-846-5067. But give us about 5 minutes. We're going to get through this list within an hour. We have 1 hour. So
yeah, and of course we only have one phone line, so when you're on. You're the one phone line.
We appreciate all the phone calls.
Yes.
Thank you. Keep them coming. So we're going to go down the list. We stopped at Ethan Glass for Spring Grove. Lethal shooter, led the league in threes this year, 71. Quick release, good footwork, best shooter in the league this year, hands down. I think the next guy closest to him is like 40 or 50 or something like that, so he got it hands down. The next guy we're going to go up with is Avon Myers. Check out Avon.
His teammate.
We have Avon at 17. Oh, that backcourt was something else, man.
Well, that game again at Bo Tech, I mean, I think the two players scored 47 points between the two of them. It was a phenomenal 1-2 punch that night for Spring Grove, and they were our co-players of the game.
Absolutely. Really good kid, man. 15.6 points per game this year as far as points. Creative scorer, what I would like to call a mid-range assassin. I mean, I like his game. He likes to, do the spin move and create space and get his shot off. Plays like a big guard. Also plays AAU this year, so go ahead and check him out this year. He's going to be playing a lot of AAU ball. No, I think last year he was with York Ballers. But Avon Myers comes in with Spring Grove. That backcourt didn't have exactly what they wanted as far as wins this year, but they produced a lot of production, and it can only go up from here, man. Like I said, I think, they had a young team too. Spring Grove's one of those teams that people forget that it's really young. Like they have a couple of I have Caleb Allen. He's a freshman. He starts.
So they're a young team, and then not to mention they're in a tough Division One. When you think about the teams that are ahead of them, Central, York High, Dallastown, and it's.
But they definitely held their own. Like I said, Ethan and Avon. Like I said, that backcourt was tough. You know what I mean? When they get hot, they get hot. Shout out to Avon. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and go to Kai.
Kai Strin. We called his name earlier this year as well.
Yep, Kai Strin.
For York Suburban, very mature player.
Yeah.
They ended up losing that night to New Oxford at York Suburban, but you can see the development. We remember him playing as a freshman last year for York Suburban, and I think there's only an upside for Kai as he'll have 2 more years in high school.
Yeah, Kai's a really good player, man. Another kid, quick release, natural scorer, averages 13.3 points this year as a sophomore. I think he's a sophomore. He might be a
Sophomore,
junior.
I believe. Yeah, I think
No, he's a sophomore. He's a sophomore. I'm
'Cause
sorry.
Last year, I remember him as a freshman.
Right, he was a
playing,
freshman last year.
and he looked like he belonged. He
Yeah,
played like
absolutely.
He
He
belonged,
has
no
a
doubt.
length, 6'4",
Yep.
can shoot, got a really quick release, doesn't think about it, doesn't hesitate.
Just goes.
Just goes.
Yep,
I think he wears Kobe's too, man. I think I saw him with a pair of Kobe's on one time. So, as far as that Mamba mentality and that dagger, I think he has that mentality to him. He'll, if he goes on a heat check, if he hits one, he's going to keep on shooting.
Keep
So, big shout out to Kai, man. He has, and like I said, his brother too. His little brother Kane Strand. He also plays on the varsity team starts. So that's another brother tandem that they have in York County. Doing some great things, and that just has to be an awesome feeling, man, to play with your brothers. So I think that's pretty cool.
No doubt. We'll have a little bit of a brother versus brother matchup this week.
Oh,
As
man.
a side note on the Super Bowl, which I know you have some interest there with the Kelsey brothers. But, who's mom and dad root for on a match like that where
It's
one's
tough.
on each
Can't
side?
lose though.
You can't lose.
Can't lose
You're
in the
right
Super
about
Bowl.
that.
Yeah, both the kids is there.
Yes.
I mean, that's a
Yep,
dream
Mom.
come true.
Yep.
We want to go to number 15, Red Line, Joe Sedora, 6'4", can really stretch the floor. I'm picking Joe. I'm gonna say it now. I'm picking Joe next year. I know some people think I slept on him or we're sleeping on him or whatever. But I'm picking Joe to be like a top 10 guy by next year.
Interesting. Yeah, and he's one of the holdovers from a team that graduated a lot of players in Red Lion. But made a statement in that game against Southwestern that we broadcasted a few weeks ago.
Kid averages 18.9 points per game this year for Red Line. Has the most field goals with 360. He's right behind Jake Dallas with 347, Austin Bousman with 336, and Avon even at 327. Joe's a three-point shooter. He can hit the mid-range. He's long. He's going to be, like I said,
Be
he's
a force.
Left-hander too, I believe. I believe he's left-handed, but he's going to be a force. And I'm predicting him to have probably one of the biggest years next year for in the county as far as really busting out. And we're going to go ahead and go to number 14.
West York Bulldog.
West York jumped in there. David McGladry. Now, I know a lot of people may not understand why he may be this high. You know what I mean? But David has been a really good player all year long and a good player last year. As I said earlier in the broadcast, I believe he may be the most improved player, in my opinion. And that doesn't mean he wasn't where he needed to be at years ago. It's just that, he just jumped up that much to me as far as watching him play and just getting to the bucket and just doing whatever the team needs.
Yeah, we had a chance, as I said earlier, to film 3 games with West York, and he was very gritty and put a lot of points up on the board. And at one point, that final game we broadcasted, he got an elbow to the head and had a cut on his head, came back in, really didn't miss a beat at all, and performed real well for West York as they're gearing up this coming weekend to defend maybe back-to-back county champions for the West York Bulldogs. Who knows? It all begins tomorrow night.
Big shout out to West York. Like I said, we got a couple guys on this list and a couple guys that just made outside of our list. There's way more great players than just 25, but we want to narrow it down. We'll be here all day long. But, like I said, West York has a lot of quality players, David McGladry being one of the best, I believe, over there as far as, like I said, selfless player too, man. Like I said, doesn't really want the recognition and just goes out there and does his job. We're going to go up to the next. We're going to go to number 13, and that's Josh Franklin for Susquehanna.
Susquehanna.
Josh, like I said, haven't covered much Susky this year. Did cover him last year. Really liked this game. But, this year he's another guy that just, it's his senior season. He's averaging 18.2. And he said, look, I'm taking it up to another level. My big bro's not there no more. So now I got to, pick up some more production, man. And he's been, you do it all type of guy, good rebounder, high IQ, knows how to play the game, uses his body well. Keep an eye on Josh. Josh is a good player, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, just like his brother, them Franklin boys can play some basketball.
And you'll see Susquehanna this weekend taking on Central York.
Yeah, and that's the guy they want to feature. That's the guy they want to focus on as far as, Susky. He's the guy that keeps the engine going. We're going to go ahead and go to number 12. Luke Forhan.
Luke Forgin.
Forgin, I'm sorry.
1,000-point score for York Catholic. We did not see him. He was injured during that broadcast with executive education earlier this year. But he's back and contributing for the York Catholic Irish.
Yeah, and Luke averaging 10.7 points this year. I believe he's a 1,000-point scorer, and he has a lot of his family has a lot of history with York Catholic. Really good player, like I said. He's been very consistent. So you can't take a guy out that hasn't been that. He's been consistent the whole time. So Luke is still doing his thing. Yep. Okay, we're going to keep going down. Jake Dallas. God, we didn't feature at all this year from York Catholic. I got some flack back from it, too, for not featuring Jake Dallas. But Jake Dallas is another guy who's been putting up a lot of points this year. Jake averages 17.4.
Oh, that's impressive.
You know,
Yeah.
natural shooter, has a really smooth game, packs his bag and does his job. You know what I'm saying? Like Jake Dallas, like I said, you moved up, man. He's one of them breakout
He's
guys
right there.
that we wasn't aware of.
And they're going to get ready to take on York High, a big battle coming up tomorrow night.
Absolutely. I'm going to keep on going because we have a little less than about 5 minutes.
And we'd like to get a call or two in here.
If we could. We're going to get through this list real quick.
Yeah,
so
we can get
definitely number 10, Ben Natal from Central York.
sophomore.
Really good player, sophomore, Ben Natal, 14.5 points this year. Clutch shooter, slasher, natural scorer, likes to get to the bucket. You know, doesn't have too many flaws into his game. Only a sophomore. You know, I believe he made first team last year for YIAA for the newspaper. So, you know, he's on pace to do that again this year. High recruit. So, go, you know, definitely check him out.
Jasir Vega.
Jasir
We called
Vega.
his name earlier.
At number, Jasir Vega at number 9. You know, Jasir has always been in our top 10 so far this year. 11.1 points this year. A little bit down from the year before. He's been hobbled a little bit.
With a shoulder injury.
Shoulder injury, but you know, team leader, 3-point specialist, crafty scorer, can do a lot with the ball. Does a great job of changing direction with his hips and getting his shot up. Passionate player, you know, big time player for York High. I'll let you say the next one. Go Ty.
Carter Walmsley, Eastern York's own.
Yep, 13.9, dominant big man, defensive specialist, mid-range assassin. Does a great job of doing whatever Coach Seitz needs him to do. That's him, and he's been in our top 10 throughout the year, so that didn't change at all. He's been still very consistent.
His teammate, how about Austin Bosman?
Oh, Austin Bosman, 1,000-point scorer, good all-around player, can score anywhere on the court, high IQ, also going to school for baseball, right?
Baseball.
Baseball, so he's another baseball.
And potentially a pre-med student as well, if I remember correctly, earlier when we spoke to them as they were co-players of the game.
Super smart, so, you know, Bosman's still there at number 7 as far as our top players. Number 6, DJ Smith, 16.6 points this year per game.
Dallastown.
6 assists per game. In my opinion, the best ball handler in the county. Keeps the ball in the string, as I say, quick. Plays like he's 6'5". You know, I really like his game. He's quiet, doesn't really talk much.
And they're going to need that production as they take on West York.
Absolutely.
Oh, Davion Leonard.
Coming in at number 5, Davion Leonard.
York High.
You know, just consistent, man. 16.1, 4 rebounds per game, 2 steals per game. Defensive specialist. That's how he gets all them fast breaks and those steals that he does. Leads the league in free throws at 74%. He's 83 for 112.
Oh, we have Christopher Meekin up on the screen as well.
Christopher
Big man
Meekin.
from Littlestown.
Christopher Meekin, elite scorer, 17.2 points per game. Team player, force on both sides of the ball, can play defense really well. He's a great defensive player as well. Let's go to number 3.
Yeah.
Now, this is the guy that just jumped out of not anywhere, but he was just on our to watch list. But Joel Tucker at number 3, 15.2 points per game. Points per game, 2 steals per game, quick, athletic, defensive specialist. You know, great player to watch. If you love basketball, he's the guy to watch. He came out of nowhere. He's on our top 5, and he made it all the way down to 3.
Number 2, Ben Rill.
Ben Rill, can't take him from the spot that he's been at
Central York
throughout the
sophomore.
whole year. Leads the league in points, 20.5, 6 rebounds, 1 block per game. Pretty much unstoppable in the paint. Has a nice mid-range game. Can score in bunches. He's only getting better. He's only a sophomore, so keep an eye on him. And now let's go to the number 1.
Greg Gittinger.
Greg Gittinger, can't stop the guy, man. He's been at the top of his game for the last 3 years, pretty much over at Central York. 16.7 points per game, 4 rebounds, 3 assists per game. He's a leader. He's a stretch 4, deep shooter, ultimate scorer. Likes to get the ball anywhere and can create shots for himself. That list didn't change up too much. We're going to post the list later on tonight, so you can check it out. But check out the list. We was on a 1 hour
we're
thing.
up against a hard break, no doubt about it. Here
Absolutely.
With seconds counting here, and we thank you for tuning in tonight to the Sports Shooting
And we'll do
Stars
something soon,
show.
real soon.